Liu Shan was the second and last emperor of Shu. His reign of 40 years is the longest of all emperors in the era. Later generations widely know him by his infant name Adu, a name used for someone so incompetent at a task that no amount of assistance will help them succeed. He was said to be a negligent leader who delegated most state affairs to his officials and generals. As he ascended the throne at 16, he entrusted the care of his state to Zhuge Liang and imperial secretariat Li Yan. Many campaigns against Cao Wei were launched throughout his reign, but to little avail due to their drastic mismatch in terms of population and reach. Chen Shou noted in his postface that Zhuge Liang did not employ scribes at Liu Shan's court. As such, the details of Liu Shan's rule are hazy compared to those of Wei and Wu. Liu Shan was born in 207. His birthplace is not recorded, but is believed to have been in Jing province, where his father Liu Bei was active around that time. When Cao Cao caught up with him the following year at Changban, his elite cavalry forced Liu Bei to leave his concubine, Lady Gan, and Liu Shan behind in order to resume his escape. General Zhao Yun stayed behind to protect the family members of Liu Bei, holding the infant Liu Shan in his arms as he led the mother and child to safety. From 208 to 221, Liu Shan was a child aged 1 to 14. He was not yet involved in military or political activities. He was likely kept in relative safety with the family entourage, but his activities as a child were not deemed noteworthy for records. The historical records focused on his father's campaigns, struggles and alliances, up until Liu Bei declared himself emperor in Chengdu in 221. At 14 years old, Liu Shan was named Crown Prince of Shu Han and took Zhang Fei's daughter as his Crown Princess. Zhang Fei had at least 2 daughters from his marriage to Lady Xiahou, and Liu Shan married them both. In 221, Liu Shan married elder daughter Empress Jing'ai, strengthening his legitimacy by marrying the daughter of a founding hero of Shu. The following year, his father battled against Sun Quan, seeking vengeance for Lu Meng's takeover of Jing province and the death of Guan Yu. After the Battle of Xiaoting, Liu Bei retreated to Baidicheng and entrusted the 16 years old Liu Shan to the care of Chancellor Zhuge Liang while making an ambiguous deathbed statement. If Liu Shan can be assisted to rule effectively, then assist him. If he cannot be assisted, then you may act as regent. The phrase is written deliberately ambiguously in the original classic Chinese text, giving Zhuge Liang flexibility to take it himself if Liu Shan proved an incapable ruler. Less than 2 weeks after Liu Bei's death, court officials in Chengdu, led by Zhuge Liang, initiated a period of national mourning. He coordinated with the other core Shu officials, Imperial Secretariat Li Yan, Chief Minister Fei Yi, Palace Attendant Dong Yun, and the rising star Jiang Wan. They made arrangements for Liu Shan's ascension to emperor. They were the old ministers who had served Liu Bei faithfully. Surviving generals like Zhao Yun, Ma Dai, and Wu Yi, and officials such as Chen Zhen, Yi Ji, and the Liu family members Liu Yong and Liu Li may have been present. Immediately following the proclamation, Lady Jing'ai was elevated to Empress Zhang in a private ritual within the inner palace, linking the new reign to Shu's founding heroes, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei. The elevation was announced via imperial edict, formally in Liu Shan's name, but drafted and issued by Zhuge Liang. Liu Shan treated Zhuge Liang as a father figure and allowed him to handle all state affairs. During his regency, the government was mostly efficient and not corrupt, allowing the small state of Shu to prepare itself for military campaigns while also making peace with the state of Wu. From the Nanman Rebellion through to Zhuge Liang's 5 northern campaigns, the Shu forces exhausted their provisions without inflicting significant damage on Wei. On one expedition in 231, Zhuge Liang faced a political crisis when he ran out of supplies, to which his co-regent Li Yan forged an edict by Liu Shan to order for his retreat. When Zhuge Liang discovered this, he recommended that Li Yan was removed from his office and put under house arrest until he returns. Liu Shan accepted the idea. When Zhuge Liang grew sick in 234, the campaign he was on would become his last. When Liu Shan heard of his illness, he sent his secretary Li Fu to the front lines to receive instructions on important state matters. Among other things, Zhuge Liang recommended that Jiang Wan succeeds him and that Fei Yi should take over after Jiang Wan, but he didn't say who should be next after that. From that point on, Shu was generally in a defensive posture, a sign that Sun Quan correctly identified as a sign of weakness, not an abandonment of their alliance objective. When Empress Zhang passed in 237, Liu Shan took her sister as a consort. She entered the imperial harem as an imperial consort or honourable lady, a mid-level concubine rank. In February 238, Liu Shan personally arranged for Xiang Lang to bestow the imperial seal to her, formally installing her to retain her sister's title, Empress Zhang. Liu Shan repeatedly wanted to expand his harem, but Dong Yun prevented him from doing so. He disliked Dong Yun for this, but was also too afraid to act against him. With the flattery of Chen Shou and influence of Huang Hao, Liu Shan's hatred for Dong Yun grew each day. Following the passing of Jiang Wan and Dong Yun, the court eunuch Huang Hao was able to expand his power in ways that had been curtailed by Dong Yun in prior years. As a corrupt eunuch who was highly manipulative in domestic matters, and as one of Liu Shan's favourites, Huang Hao greatly contributed to the downfall of Shu. When Jiang Wei was named as Fei Yi's assistant, they were both largely involved in military matters. Meanwhile, Liu Shan became more self-assertive in domestic issues and more interested in touring the countryside. He purchased luxury items and was accused of indulging in pleasures while neglecting his duties. This added to the stress of the treasury, but not cripplingly so. When Fei Yi was assassinated in 253, Jiang Wei became the de facto regent of Shu, but a power vacuum formed on the domestic side. As such, Huang Hao's influence increased greatly while Jiang Wei was away. Without Fei Yi to rein in Jiang Wei's ambition of continuing Zhuge Liang's northern expeditions, a number of campaigns were launched against Wei. The attacks inflicted no real damage to Wei and were plagued by inadequate food supplies. The campaigns instead had a detrimental effect on Shu, as the state was unable to cope with the drain of its resources. In 255, Jiang Wei dealt the Wei forces a major defeat, nearly capturing the important border city Didao. He tried again the next year, but was soundly defeated by Deng Ai, a loss that greatly reduced his reputation with the people of Shu. As war fervour for his campaigns wore off, many officials now questioned Jiang Wei's ability, but Liu Shan took no action to stop him. In fact, when Jiang Wei proposed to withdraw the main troops from the border cities to try tempt Wei into attacking, Liu Shan agreed. This strategy was used several years later in 263 when Wei did attack, but it proved to be a failure. After Chen Ji's death in 258, Huang Hao was controlling the politics of the state, and by this point, everyone in Shu missed Dong Yun. Liu Shan changed the era name from Yangzi to Jingyao, the Jing Shining, after astrologists reported seeing a Jing star, and he also issued a general amnesty. Huang Hao continued to abuse the power from the trust he was given. Fan Jian, Dong Zhui, and Zhuge Zhan spoke against him, but Liu Shan ignored them. When Liu Shan's younger brother Liu Yong also complained about Huang Hao, the eunuch cast him in a bad light, slandering him as well. Liu Shan distanced himself from Liu Yong and eventually forbade him from attending court for over 10 years. By 261, Huang Hao's power appeared paramount. Among the key domestic officials, only Dong Zhui and Zhuge Zhan had been able to maintain their posts without flattering him. He even tried to replace Jiang Wei with his friend Yan Yu, but when it was discovered, Jiang Wei urged Liu Shan to execute Huang Hao. The emperor denied the request, saying Huang was merely a servant who ran errands. Fearing retaliation, Jiang Wei moved to garrison his troops at Taichung. According to the Wu ambassador Xu Shu, the state that Shu was in at this point was thus. Their ruler is incompetent and does not know his errors. He's so bad that his subordinates do the bare minimum to avoid punishment. When I entered their court, I heard no proper speech, and when I toured their countryside, the people looked sallow from hunger. I once heard that swallows and sparrows make nests atop great halls, believing themselves safe. Should the rafters suddenly ignite or fall away, the birds remain happy, unaware of the disaster about to befall them. When news of Sima Zhao's plans to attack Shu reached Jiang Wei, he proposed a defensive strategy. However, Huang Hao persuaded Liu Shan with fortune-telling to take no action on the war preparations. In 259, Liu Shan changed the era name to Yanxing, flame reigniting, and issued another amnesty. He sent generals to try fend off Wei, but they suffered constant defeats. Wei's conquest of Shu ended with virtually no Shu troops left between Deng Ai's army and the Shu capital. Faced with the prospect of defending a city against Deng Ai, Liu Shan took the advice of Secretary Xiao Zhou to promptly surrender, having him give this message. "We are bordered and separated by the Yangtze and Han rivers, which I value for their deep and far distance. Having low virtue, as well as being stupid and weak, I coveted the inherited beginnings of my father. I relied on the lands of Shu in a dangerous and remote corner, where I performed offences against you gradually over the years. The realm has three likings. An ordinary man likes to follow himself, a worthy man likes to correct himself, and a sage man likes to teach himself. I bow my head and look up to the accumulated years where I have not yet led myself into your great guidance. Your heavenly might shakes the land so much that people and ghosts returned in the many by your ability. I lie before great ways spread virtue and distributed teachings. I have ordered my commanders to lay down their dagger axes and take off their armour. Within the state treasury of our administrative centre, there is absolutely nothing that has been damaged for you. I carefully send Zhang Xiao, Qiao Zhou and Deng Lian to present my seal and ribbon, bestowing my survival or death upon you, for you are the only one who will decide which." His surrender was criticised by many, but Chen Shou, historian and official of Shu, had sympathy for him. When a state faces extinction, it's rare for a ruler to avoid death. Qiao Zhou's advice allowed Liu Shan to preserve his life and the lives of his people, which was no small achievement. It should be noted that Qiao Zhou was Chen Shu's mentor. Liu Shan sent his Minister of Ceremonies, Zhang Jun, as well as Ru Chao to receive his instructions, as well as sending Jiang Xian to have Jiang Wei surrender as well. His surrender caused an uproar among the Shu officials, with opinions divided. Many of them committed suicide, including Liu Shan's son, Liu Chen. His concubine, Li Zhaoyi, felt humiliated by the surrender and showed her distaste for Wei. When the imperial court at Luoyang decided to marry the women of Shu to unmarried Wei generals, Li Zhaoyi expressed, "I can't keep being insulted again and again." She then also ended her life. One of Liu Shan's final acts was to have Li Hu deliver a Shu census to Deng Ai. Shu had 280,000 households, 940,000 people, 120,000 soldiers, 40,000 officials, around 5,200 tons of grain, 448 kilograms of gold, and 200,000 bolts of brocade and coloured silk each. After Liu Shan's surrender was announced, many of the Shu areas surrendered as well, but Jiang Wei refused to recognise Wei, secretly writing to Liu Shan, "I hope your majesty can endure humiliation for a few days. I aim to bring the altars of state back from danger into safety, just like the sun and moon returning from the dark back into the light." Leading up to Zhonghui's rebellion and his attempt to revive Shu, Liu Shan was informed, but whether he acknowledged the letter is not recorded, plus he was never blamed for Jiang Wei's association with them. Both Zhonghui and Jiang Wei were killed in a rebellion, while Liu Shan himself was not harmed in the disturbance, although his crown prince Liu Shuan was killed in the confusion. Liu Shan, Empress Zhang and his entire family were relocated to Luoyang on the 11th of April 264. Here he was enfeoffed as Jukan Le, a traditional title granted to deposed rulers. It means peace and happiness, and allows them a dignified retirement in exile rather than facing punishment. The famous story of Liu Shan not thinking of Shu has become the most famous tale to be associated with him. One day, Sima Zhao invited Liu Shan and his followers to a feast, during which the entertainers performed traditional Shu music and dances. The old Shu officials were all saddened to tears, but Liu Shan was visibly unmoved, in fact delighted, laughing along and not noticing anything was off. Sima Zhao privately said to Jia Chong, "That fellow has no feelings. Even if Zhuge Liang were to be alive, he couldn't assist him in maintaining Shu, let alone Jiang Wei." Jia Chong highlighted Liu Shan's flaws. "If he wasn't like this, how could your highness annex him?" When asked by Sima Zhao if he missed his former state, Liu Shan replied, "I am too happy here to think. With such music I never think about Shu." Su Zheng privately advised Liu Shan to lament if he was ever asked again. He later told Sima Zhao, The tombs of my forefathers are far away in Longxi. There is no day that I do not grieve to be so distant." When Sima Zhao asked why that appears so similar to Zizhang's diction, Liu Shan stared at him in horror, eventually admitting, "I said exactly what I was ordered to." Everyone around snickered at Liu Shan, and Sima Zhao saw him as an incompetent fool, but others believed he displayed deep wisdom by intentionally showing a lack of ambition. Sima Zhao didn't see him as a threat. Liu Shan passed away in Luoyang in 171 with the posthumous name Duke Xi of Anle, the deep-thinking Duke of Peace and Happiness.